Post-impressionist John Singer Sargent is known for his wonderful use of color. I've found a method I think he might have used to do that. You'll need a few things to get ready to do this little procedure. So one thing is to choose a photograph of one of Sargent's pieces to study. You could choose those online and print them, or you might find a magazine that has a good color reproduction. So there's the first thing, just to get you started. The second thing is to get a pretty stiff sheet of paper like this and cut a little square out, about an inch square, and then on the back cover it with Postit glue, these little stick glues that you can get called restickable glue or Postit glue, just a little bit back here. So there's the second thing that will help. And then another thing that will help, if you're working in oil or acrylic, cut out some little pieces of canvas, little square, or little, it doesn't have to be square, but little pieces of canvas that you can use I'll show you in a moment. I call them little test strips. And then you'll be ready. Now, to set the palette up for doing a study, well, you know, if you're doing a color study from any artist, you will learn a lot more about it if you'll start with just the three primary colors, or no more than maybe 4 of the primary colors having a warm blue and a cool blue. So you do that, and I have here palette set up. I've got alizarin crimson right here. I went ahead and gradated alizarin crimson into a value color line with Hansa Yellow Light, which is a yellow that's very, very close to our spectrum yellow, and that gives us red and yellow. And then I have ultramarine blue here, which I've gradated here with the titanium white. So that gets me started for the study, gives me a limitation on color, so that I don't have to start figuring out from thousands of tubes and that sort of thing. So that's what you do to get set up. Now, of course, let me just add to that, if you're working with watercolor, you just use your watercolor supplies in the same way. Alright, so now I'm looking at Sargent's, this is Sargent's reproduction of Sargent's painting called the Oyster Gatherers. Has another longer French name, but we'll call it Oyster Gatherers for right now. Now, there are lots of fun things happening here that are typical of Sargent. One is what he does with the white right here, how he creates that sparkle white, even though the whole scene might seem to be sort of subdued. We see these little pieces of white sparkling here and here and here, and a little bit here and here. And how does he get that? How does he make that happen? Well, here's the way to find out. Isolate it first. And so I would just put my little square right in that area. And that isolates it just so that I can see, I can zoom in on just that area without having to be confused by other areas in there. So that helps me to isolate it. Now, the next thing I do is to ask myself, I'm looking just at that white, and I ask myself, what color am I seeing? What hue am I seeing in the shadow area? And in white, asking yourself what color you see in the shadow area is more important. There's your biggest key right there. So if I'm looking in the shadow area there, I'm seeing 2 colors. I'm seeing a blue-gray, and I'm seeing kind of an orange, kind of a little bit of a pinkish orange. And so what I'll do then, I'm seeing blue-gray, and what value is it? It's not the darkest dark. I can tell by looking at this shirt the woman has on. That's a dark. So it's not darkest dark, and it's not the lightest light. So I can tell it's a middle value. Well, I know if it's in shadow, it's going to be middle value or darker. So there's my next clue. So what I'll do then, start out with blue. If it's blue-gray, I'll start out with blue, and middle value blue. So then I can come on my palette here, and I'll just pull a middle value of blue onto the palette. And it could be, I suggest working with ultramarine blue or cobalt blue on this one. If you work with phthalo blue, it's going to be blue-green. It's going to be very difficult to make that work. So it's better to work with a blue that's closer to the spectrum blue. So we'll start with that. Now then we ask ourselves, what do we do to make blue-gray? We said blue-gray. We know that orange is the complement of blue, and if I put a little orange in it, it'll turn gray. So what I'll do then is I'll come back over here to my orange section, the orange portion of my mixture here, and I want a value of orange that is the same value as that blue. That gets me started. So let's try that. Now I'm going to gradually pull that orange into the blue and watch. Is it turning gray? And if it's turning kind of a greenish gray, that tells me it has too much yellow in it, which is one reason for choosing that. But I can hold my, yeah, that's way too yellow. That tells me it needs more red. So it needs a little bit more red orange. So I'll pull that over right in here. Now let's see, how does that look? And so I'll hold my palette knife over, and that still seems a bit green. All right, so what I mean when it says it needs it looks a bit green, then I add more red. Now you can think when you're doing color studies from Sargent or any other master artist, you can use the color wheel or think in terms of how the color wheel is arranged in order to answer questions. So if you don't get a blue-gray that matches the blue-gray you're looking at here on your first try, if it turns green, the question you ask is, what will turn that green gray? You know, the opposite green on the color wheel, you'll find red, and that's how you know how to do that. So I'm going to just add a little bit more red in here now. So and I need it to be the same value. Now this is a little procedure for thinking. When you're mixing colors, mix colors that are in the same value area, and you can come closer to getting the values you're looking for. Now that I'm getting very, very close now just by adding a little bit more red to that mixture. And so now how am I going to test it? Well, I'll use my little tester here. You could simply do it with the back of the palette knife like that, but to be more accurate, we want to be a little bit more scientific here. What I will do is I'll pull some of that color on the tip of my brush, and on the edge of a test strip, just on the edge of the test strip, I will paint the color and I'll hold it up to here. It's not quite blue enough. See, sometimes you can fool yourself, so I'm going to pull a little bit more blue into it because I want to be sure I have the blue-gray that Sargent has. Well, really, this is a reproduction, so it may lean one way or the other, but it's the relationship we're looking for here, so it will be the right study. So rather than, I wouldn't paint it right on top of this area now. I come to a fresh area on the test strip, and I'll paint a corrected version where I added more blue. You can see the difference right here. Now I hold that, and there it is. There is the blue-gray that I see on that sleeve of Sargent's painting here. Now I'm also seeing within that shadow area there, I'm also seeing not just blue-gray, but I'm seeing that little bit of orange, that little bit of kind of pinkish, almost pinkish orange. Now I'm going to go to a clean brush. I'm going to hold this brush in this hand. I'm going to go to a clean brush. I've already got the red here, and I see it's kind of a pinkish orange. So I've already got the red. Added a little bit more white to the red here, and it's the same value as the blue. So that's important. Now let's see here. Now that's too pink. That's too pink and maybe a little dark. So let's add just a little bit more of the light and put a little bit more of the orange in there. That just might be it. That just might be. I want to be sure it's the same value. So what I'll do here, I'll just use the same test strip. Now I'll go on this edge, and let's see, is that what I'm seeing? And as I hold that, no, that's too brilliant. So that means I need to get it grayer. It's a pink, but it needs to be gray. And also it is, then I hold it up to here, it's too light. So that means I need to get it darker. So I'll move over into a darker section here, add a little bit more dark, and I'll put a little bit more of the blue in there to help to cut down the intensity of that. And let's see, now what do I have? Do I have it now? So I've changed it, and I'll come right beside my original mixture, and see, that informs me. That tells me the change I've made when I put them right on the edge there, side by side, the different mixtures, rather than painting one on top of the other. That is not, that's not going to inform you very well. It's just going to kind of frustrate you. So now if I hold this right here, aha, that's it. That's it. So that means between what I found here, and I'll just put it right over here, and let me just sort of shape that color, kind of like he has it shaped there. And then I'll go to this brush with this color in it and kind of shape that right next to it, kind of like Sargent has shaped it there, and push it right up in there, those two pushed up together like that. And then the only thing that's missing there is the white. That is, I have there the color that Sargent had to, or that Sargent used, and I think he's probably a little bit more of that pink kind of fleck. There we go. There we go. You see, if you get those two are complementary colors, and if you have the pink and the blue intermingled, sort of intermingled, he did that. That's how he got a lot of those colors that seem to just sparkle us, especially in the shadow areas. So the thing we do there to get the white now is the same thing. The light is just as important, but what we find in a lot of Sargent's work is that real magic happens in the shadows, and so it's in the shadowed areas that we want to address. So I'm going to do the same kind of procedure now, where I move into the light, and ask myself, what am I seeing? Well, you might say just white paint. Bet you not. So I'm going to pull some white paint over here, and I'm going to hold it up here, and I'm seeing, no, that's got some light in it. And I'm thinking a little bit of orange, a tiny, tiny little bit of maybe red orange, just to tint that very slightly. And so what I'll do then is go right over in here, put just a little bit of that red orange right in here. Now I'm going to pull white into it until it just feels like, it feels slightly tinted. So not pink and not red, but very slightly tinted. I believe I have it right there. And if I hold it right here, there, I think that's much closer to what I'm seeing there. And so then I'll just take another, in this case I'm going to just get another clean brush here. So I'll go into that, and well, before I do that, let's do a little test strip. Let's do a little analysis here, where I hold the test strip here and here, and that tells me that feels right. So I will put that color in the brush and bring it over here like this, and work it into my little study area here, much like I see Sargent has worked it into this shape right in here. And what we see happening in that shape, we see some of that color, some of that white, we see moving into the more grayer area, the grayer area there. And now we're beginning to see that's how Sargent got that brilliant white, the brilliant feeling of the white material. And so you begin to move a little bit of the light, where the light reflects on the folds, like right in here and here, and we'll begin to see that same kind of thing happening, which is really wonderful. So we could move then we could move our little square to other places in Sargent's paintings and go through the same process. Now I'm just going to, we don't have the time in the quick tip for me to go through the whole thing, but say here for example, and we see him doing the same kind of thing, where we have on the beach the blue of the sky reflecting onto the beach, and also that feeling of water on the beach, and you see the same sort of blue-orange relationship in the same value area. So you just move your little, if you do a thorough study of the way he worked with color, you just move your little square around in different sections, then study the colors that you see in there, just as you saw me studying there, and then do your own painting where you have used Sargent's methods for creating wonderful color. If you found this quick tip helpful, why not explore our full-length instructional videos? At DianneMize.com, we've got numerous downloads and DVDs for you to select from. And we also have some of our lessons on YouTube ready for you to watch and download if you like. So give it a try. And there's your quick tip.